once was a Union maid who never was afraid of the goons and the kings and the company pinks and the deputies.
Hi everyone. Well, it's Karen here for story time. Today we have a new book called Brave Girl, Clara and the Shirtwaist Makers Factory of 1909. Do you know what a shirtwaist is? It's a blouse. It has sleeves and a collar and buttons, and it's ever so much harder to make than these t-shirts, which are very simple. So, here we have the story by Michelle Markel. It's illustrated by Melissa Sweet. I think you're going to like this one. A steamship pulls into the harbor, carrying hundreds of immigrants and a surprise for New York City. You see there the huge steamship? You may never have seen one of those if you don't live near the water. And there's the Statue of Liberty, holding so much hope for all the immigrants on the ship. And here they are, climbing up from the lower part of the ship where they've traveled, up the ramp, and down onto the pier in the big city. The surprise for New York City is dirt poor, just 5 feet tall, and hardly speaks a word of English. Her name is Clara Lemlich. This girl's got grit, and she's going to prove it. Look out, New York. And there you see her with her mama and daddy. Clara knows in her bones what is right and what is wrong. What's wrong begins a few weeks after the Lemlichs move into their tenement in America. Do you know what a tenement is? See there in the background? There's all those apartments with families piled on top of each other, sometimes more than one family in a small apartment. And you see the laundry strung out the window because there's no other place to put it to dry. And in the winter, that freezes. What's wrong is no one will hire Clara's father. They will, however, hire Clara. That's right. Clara. Companies are hiring thousands of young immigrant girls to make blouses, coats, nightgowns, and other women's clothing. They earn only a few dollars a month, but it helps pay food and rent. So, instead of carrying books to school, many girls carry sewing machines to work. Clara becomes a garment worker. I was once a garment worker, but that was in the 1960s, and believe me, things had improved a lot. This picture is imagined as if you were looking at it from up above, looking down from the top of the ceiling down onto the factory floor. You see rows and rows of girls there working. From dawn to dusk, she's locked up in a factory. Rows and rows of young women bend over their tables, stitching collars, sleeves, and cuffs as fast as they can. Hurry up, the bosses yell. Rat-a-tat-tat, hisses Clara's machine. The sunless room is stuffy from all the bodies crammed inside. There are 2 filthy toilets, 1 sink, and 3 towels for 300 girls to share. Clara learns the rules. If you're a few minutes late, you lose half a day's pay. You see there, they mark the timesheet. Late, half a day pay lost. If you prick your finger and bleed on the cloth, you're fired. If it you're fined. If it happens a second time, you're fired. The doors are locked and you're inspected every night before you leave to be sure you haven't stolen anything from the factory. Can you imagine how degrading it is to be suspected of stealing every day when you leave? But Clara is uncrushable. She wants to read. She wants to learn. At the end of her shift, though her eyes hurt from straining in the gaslight and her back hurts from hunching over the sewing machine, she walks to the library. She fills her empty stomach with a single glass of milk and goes to school at night. When she gets home late in the evening, she sleeps only a few hours before she has to go to work again. As the weeks grind by, Clara makes friends with the other factory girls. At lunch, they share stories and secrets as if they were in school where they belong. Clara smolders with anger, not just for herself, but for all the factory girls working like slaves. This is not the America she'd imagined. The men at the factory tell her they've been trying to get the workers to team up in a union. Then they'd strike, refuse to work until the bosses treat them better. But the men don't think the ladies are tough enough. You see, there they are telling Clara their plan. There you have the cutters who cut the fabric and the pattern makers who make the patterns, and Clara who's thinking, not tough enough because they're girls? Oh, yes they are. Clara knows it. She'll show them. From then on at the sewing tables and on the street, Clara urges the girls to fight for their rights. When the seamstresses are overworked, she says, strike. When they're underpaid, she says, strike. When they're punished for speaking up, she says, strike. You see her there working in the factory, and all the time she's telling them, we could have rights, but we'll have to strike to get them. And that means not going to work. And that's hard because then you don't earn any money. And the bosses get mad. But the girls do. You see them there with their picket signs? They're striking. They're forming a union to get their rights. Well, this story is a little bit longer than we're used to. So we're going to stop there on a high note and then come back next week and find out what happens to them after they strike. We know the bosses are not going to like it. The whole society might be down on them because they're just girls striking. So, see you next time for more of Clara and the Shirtwaist Makers Strike of 1909. That was a long time ago, over 100 years. All right, see you then. Bye-bye.
Oh, you can